What's going on, guys? We've got a very special episode of the Unqualified Film Bros for you tonight. As you can see, we have two lovely guests in Hayley Batson and Nick Turturro. Um, you've got the usual four of us, three others. But today we're going to be talking about a very special project, one that's close and near and dear to our hearts. It is from our very own George Grothier's Putt-Putt. That is a film that he made over this last summer. Gosh, it's 2024 already.
Wow.
Um, and George, I want you to kick us off here. Tell us a little bit about the film, sort of what is it about? What is it? How'd you think of it? Anything else that comes to mind?
Starting with me, I'm so surprised.
I know.
This never happens. So yeah, Putt Putt is a short romantic comedy that I wrote for grad school. Um, I was in film school, in case the three of you didn't know. Uh, but yeah, I wrote it for my screenwriting class, um, just sort of one-on-one with my writing mentor, Bill. Shout out, Bill. And it was sort of just a character exercise with these characters of Will and Piper, who have become my favorite people, even though they're fictional. And I used this short as an opportunity to show a key moment in their relationship, and really that is sort of the crux of the story of these two, following their relationship from I should provide some context first. I wrote a feature about these two, and it's told through a series of vignettes about moments in their relationship. And Putt Putt is sort of the center, the core. And when we finish this film, the goal is to take it to festivals and hopefully use it as proof of concept to sell the feature, and then make the feature with these two beside me in the leading roles, obviously, and really take it and run and Putt Putt. I'm not going to give too much about the plot away because you will be able to see it on our YouTube channel sometime this spring. Um, but it's a day at a mini golf course with two people who have fallen in love, playing mini golf, eating hot dogs, and then a life-changing conversation begins. So let's talk to our guests here, guys.
Yeah, for sure. This is kind of a general question for both of you, Nick and Haley. But just what interested you in this project? What kind of drew you in? Was it George? Was it the script? Was it something else? Why'd you do it? Either of you can go. It doesn't matter.
You want to go, Haley, or should I?
You start.
Okay. Yeah. I guess when trying to remember the process of yeah. So I mean, this was something that I had submitted to on Actors Access, which is um, kind of the breakdowns for actors in New York and LA. And I guess nationally. But yeah, so I had submitted to this and had gotten called in. And I remember finding the sides quite charming. Um, there was a lightness to the script that I enjoyed. Um, it wasn't taking itself like too seriously, but it was also, um, just two people enjoying a day of putt-putt. Um, and yeah, so I think, after reading the script, I felt like this might be a fun project to be a part of. And yeah, I was not wrong. It was a great time.
Great.
Yeah, I feel very similarly. I feel like it's something that because I think I submit for it and I didn't think too much of it at first because of just like, you submit for things. And then I think once I actually read the script and auditioned for it, and even that first audition that I put in, I was like, oh, this was so fun. And then we had like our callbacks and whatever, and just the whole process was so fun. And I was like, okay, well, if this works out, like I think this would be a great time. And then it did. And yeah, overall, like the first word that comes to mind is just like delightful. It was just so fun to work on something that wasn't, yeah, it wasn't taking itself so seriously and it wasn't such a serious storyline.
And how many for both of you, like how many scripts have you looked at in the past, like or sorry, let me rephrase the question. Have you done any sort of work of this genre before this one, or is this the first time doing sort of a romantic type picture? Not short picture, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think I've done romantic pieces before, but not with such an element of comedy. The comedy that I've done has actually been more on stage than on film. So this was maybe I did like one or two really small comedic roles in other pieces, but this was probably one of the first larger ones for me.
No,
I,
sorry. What was it?
I was gonna say, I think that this is probably like the first larger project for me. I feel like I am just now owning and like really recognizing how much just in general I gravitate towards rom-coms. I think that I just didn't realize, yeah, how much I enjoyed them like before and after this project. And yeah, it's just like two things that I really enjoy and like combining both of them.
How many films or short films, whatever, have you guys worked on? Is this your first one? Is this your
Yeah, I find that I've mainly done short films in the city as opposed to features or TV for a couple of reasons. One, features are, simply a lot more to produce, so there's a lot fewer of them running around, and then episodic, I think we all know what was going on with the past few years. It's been a little crazy.
Yeah.
But so I think last year I did about 6 short films, and then I'd probably done a few more in the year prior to that. So I don't know, probably maybe a dozen, like since my time in New York.
And George, is this your first like first? I mean, did you make any other short films during film school that like you haven't shown or anything like that, or is this your first like full directorial debut?
So Putt-Putt is my directorial debut. First time director. I didn't know I was going to be directing the project until 5 months before we shot it. I was under the impression, at least until December of 22, that I was going to be passing. Oh, shoulder just disappeared. That was weird. I was under the impression until December of 22 that I was going to be passing the project off, and I was just going to be the writer and someone else was going to direct. And then I showed up for my winter residency in grad school last winter, January of 23, and they offered me the chance to direct it. And I said, hell yes, I will direct this. I have never directed before, but give me my shot. And to answer the first part of your question, Declan, I was a sort of almost like a pinch hitter in baseball, a pinch producer for a film 2 summers ago now, Intertwined Repetitions, which just premiered at, forgive me for not remembering the festival name, in New Jersey, back in December. Directed by Michael Vezza, written by Kimberly Van Felton. Check it out. It's available online, I'm pretty sure. Not entirely sure, but I'll reach out to the right people. I'm the producer. I should probably know that. And then actually the week leading into the shoot for Putt-Putt, I was the assistant director on another short called Courage, which was written and directed by Ryan Gomes, who served as our director of photography on Putt-Putt. So I was his AD, and then he was my DP, all in the same week. So that was an interesting power shift, dynamic shift rather. But yeah, I mean, directing is a unique beast, and I, Hayley and Nick, I've told you guys countless times over the last almost year now, but I could not have directed this film to be as great as it will be without these two. They were really the only choices to play Will and Piper. and wherever they will be, for as many as of these shorts as we make, as many as I get the chance to direct, as many as I've written, they're the only two that could play these characters at this point. So they make directing more fun. They make it a lot easier on me. So I'm definitely excited to direct both my own writing, or each of my own writing, and these two in future projects.
George, let's stick with you for a second and continue the love fest for Nick and Hayley.
Aww.
But it was you, like you said, it was your first time directing. There's got to be some lessons in there. What were some of them, and did Nick or Hayley teach you any of these lessons as a director for the first time?
Well, that's a really good question. Coming from a theater kid background, I knew how good and bad directors interact with actors, and I tried to take the good stuff and apply that to my interactions with these two. I really feel like when we were in rehearsals, again, they were largely over Zoom. We had one in-person session, which was a blast. Nick, thank you again for hosting that. Your artwork is truly remarkable. I need to see more of it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But I mean, I could tell from the chemistry test that these two were just meant to play these roles together. The chemistry was off the charts from day one. So I think one of the biggest things about directing that I learned right early on in the process is find the right people who make the job easier when it comes to talent, because seeing these two play off each other, and there's a lot of improv in the film. Again, I wrote a script, but these two played off each other so much on set. We have long improvised takes where, I just said, play mini golf and in character and see where things go. And some of that's going to make the final cut of the film. So having the right people in front of the camera is huge. I learned that probably biggest. That's proper English. Wow. That was probably the biggest thing that I learned. But also in terms of the technical side, like, I had never written a shot list before. I had never run a set before. Even when I was producing a film last summer, I was sort of ornamental, or 2 summers ago, I was sort of ornamental to the set. I was sort of making sure everyone was on time with everything, kind of acting like a second AD, but also like we were a skeleton crew, so I was doing the slate. I was, bringing the actors to get their food. I was picking them up from the train station. So that was a much different experience. And then just hopping in and directing, I would love to see how I do directing someone else's script from a story that I don't know as well as something that I've conceived. But for as long as I write things, I've always seen myself as a writer first, but for as long as I write things, I kind of want to be the one executing the creative vision to the screen. So I learned that about myself, is that I mean, Nick, Hayley, you guys can comment on this all you want. I think I'm an okay director.
Could be my question. How was it like directed by George? How did he compare to your other directors?
Please
I encourage you to be honest here.
Yeah, I mean, I think George did a good job. I think, they're working with directors. There's quite a range of experiences, right? There are obviously directors who take advantage of people, and that's, never appropriate. And George did not do that on this set, which was lovely. Thank you, George.
I figured as much.
I was glad to achieve the bare minimum, Nick.
Yeah.
Bare minimum human decency. Hell yeah.
Well, you never know. But
okay.
even with George's style was a little looser, a little more, I mean, relaxed. It was a very relaxed set, which is nice, and definitely helps with some of that improvisation. that he mentioned. You know, it's hard to improv when there's a director trying to direct improv. It's kind of antithetical. And so George was very free with that, which I think was a good element in your directing style.
Yes, I'd have to say that a lot of times I feel like a director, the director directly impacts an actor's performance. And so I think that the way George directs, it does give an actor like a lot of space to play around. It was very collaborative. And then of course, like we did so much improv, and that was one of my favorite things about working on the project, was just being able to like play around. There was never like a hard, actually, no, I feel like I take that back. I feel like I'm thinking of like this one moment. Am I allowed to talk about the hot dogs, George? Is that a spoiler?
Please, Hayley, talk about the hot dogs. It's in scene 1. I think we can talk about it. I knew it was gonna come up.
Bring it up.
So, I mean, one thing we would do was like leave some of the scenes a little bit like the end of the scene, like the button of the scene, like a little bit open-ended. In the first scene, first of all, I'd eat so many freaking hot dogs. I don't think I've had a hot dog since then. I just have had no desire. I don't know how many hot dogs I ate that day.
I think
we were spitting them out by the end.
You took at least one bite of probably 25.
Disgusting. It was disgusting.
Oh, we had a few at the beginning.
Nick, I don't know what you were doing when Ella was going to get the hot dogs, but
I don't think we realized how many takes we were going to do for that.
I don't think I realized that, and that's why we had to make like 2 or 3 trips to go get them.
We were having fun, yeah.
Well, so okay.
Dogs.
Well, the other thing was there were mustard on the hot dogs. I hate mustard, but what I was gonna say, all of this to say, I don't think there were any, like, George never shut down any of my ideas, except for I feel like maybe one of those takes I did something where he was like, don't do that. Oh, I told him what I was gonna do, and then he was like, don't do that. But I don't remember.
Wait, I'm not remembering this. What was it?
Well, you said I couldn't do it because I spoiled what I was gonna do, but I don't remember what I was gonna do. Basically,
I think
go ahead.
That might have been right after the take where Nick threw all of the ketchup packets in the air, which that was his idea, but we had sort of schemed it as a way to mess with you. We got a really, really organic, sort of natural reaction from you, Hayley. And then there was something, and I don't remember what it was, but you said something about what you were thinking about for the next button in the next take. And I don't know whether it was because I was thinking ahead to the edit and I wanted to make things easier with consistency across takes. But I think I remember saying something like, I wish you hadn't told me that and had just done it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, this isn't spoiling anything, but I think one of the takes that we are going to use for the end of that scene, you sort of force feed a hot dog to Nick, or your character force feeds a hot dog because Nick's character Will doesn't like mustard on his hot dogs. And
no, George, that one was personal. That was Hayley. That was the best. Yeah, there was no acting in that take. It was just malice.
But we, like, especially in that scene, like, we left the room open for improv. Like, at one point, and I don't mind spoiling this, Nick does like a Jedi mind trick, which he thought of in the moment. And then, there's a moment where the two of you struggle over a hot dog and it falls to the ground. Like, I can only say so much in the script and in my direction, but then you guys just sort of took it and ran with those moments.
Yeah, this was all to say that basically there was a lot of room for us to like play around, which made it so much fun. And then I realized I have to keep everyone on their toes, and I can't spoil my hot dog plans in the future. But I'm never gonna eat a hot dog again, probably. But it's okay.
So I guess you could call this a life-changing experience. Because you adjusted one thing about your life as a result.
You should put that on the poster.
The New Year's
George, are we
resolution.
gonna get a growth haircut with all of the hot dog scenes that didn't make it? Or
I have already promised Hayley that she gets to see as many takes of her eating a hot dog as she wants. So, yes, I will cut those together.
I keep
Good.
imagining something like the I think you should leave sketch, the multiple I think you should leave sketches with him eating hot dogs. I hope all these takes are as good as those sketches.
Let's see, grad school film or professionally produced Netflix series. I'll take Putt-Putt every time.
Right
yeah, I think
on.
that's a good bar, Declan.
Yeah. That'll be the bar when I finally see it. That'll be the bar I am comparing it
Mhm.
to. I believe you'll succeed, George. I'm just saying that is, what it's going to be.
Declan, I've known you for like 8 years. That's the nicest thing you ever said to me.
Damn. That true. I think I have to
Now
concur.
that's a low bar.
But I was curious for both Hayley and Nick. Did are you both excuse me, sorry. Are you both professional actors, or is this a first time behind the camera for you two?
Yeah, I think yeah, Haley can speak for herself, but I believe both of us would classify ourselves as professional actors. So no, not the first time in front of the camera. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I would say I am a professional. I would love to be in front of the camera more, but life happens. And I feel like I love that I have so many other different things going besides acting. But yeah, I'm definitely a professional.
Say the word, we'll do another one.
Sounds
I'll put you two in front of the camera tomorrow if you want me to.
good.
Round two.
So keeping with that, Haley, I see it on your LinkedIn that you're a fitness instructor. And Nick, you have your formula on your website. I'm just kind of wondering how you bring those aspects of your life into acting as professionals.
Promise you he's not stalking you.
I'm not just
Wait,
getting
I didn't catch.
There's
Did you
really
say my formula? What did you say?
your formula on the website, the 3 pillars or elements.
What is
I
Yeah.
I may or may not have given Max some links.
I think this is I think Max is referring to a blog. Was this a blog I wrote I'm sorry, a couple years ago, right?
It looked like it was a couple years old for sure.
Yeah. No, I haven't.
But
I
it
haven't
was so,
written in.
but Nick, it was so interesting. I immediately looked at it and I was like, oh my God, I have to ask about this.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah. That's so funny. I just haven't thought about that piece in quite some time. Some
It's like your acting
some
philosophy
journalists.
years
Okay,
ago.
Sean Evans, relax. Like,
That's a
all
North
right.
Bar poll.
Yeah. No, that was that's kind of the idea, right? Because I think, even professional actors are not working all the time. I think, you'll see here like even A-list like professional top tier actors talk about that, it's like don't make it everything. Have a life outside of acting as well, because I mean, it is a form of work, and you have to have other interests than just a singular form of work. That's it's not necessarily healthy. And then it makes when you get to do it so much more exciting.
I agree. Yeah, I'm very involved in the fitness world, and I feel like I've always been like an active person. Like I grew up dancing, and then even like going through acting training with like movement classes and just I don't know, all forms of movement. I love to just move my body in general, and I just find it to be very meditative. And so teaching was like an easy kind of route to go down, and I love it. And I think it just like again, staying like very active, it just helps my acting practice. It's flexible. And so, kind of like what Nick was saying, it's just like acting and fitness and all of it, they're different parts of me. And I love that I don't just necessarily have like one thing that I focus on. I feel like it keeps me more well rounded and it keeps me more grounded as an actor.
Ben, Declan, you guys got anything else?
I was just thinking, sort of like this is only tangentially related, but George, how did you get the mini golf course to shoot at? I imagine you didn't build a set for a mini golf course. So like how did you convince the place to let you shoot there?
Convinced, yeah, it took a lot of, getting on my knees and begging. No, um I constructed the set myself,
mm.
and Nick, Haley, you guys remember I forced you into the manual labor,
No,
and that
yeah.
was a big part of the week leading up to shoot. We were behind schedule on the construction a lot.
You had me operating the crane.
Yeah, you asked to operate the crane. I said, do you want to move all of the lumber and the felt pads for the golf courses, or do you want to
No,
operate the crane? And you said,
I
I'll do the
know.
crane.
I was
I
mostly
think
just
my
supervising.
Mm.
I was
yeah,
Haley, you were very good in a supervisory role.
Mm.
yeah.
Extremely
We
valid.
should give you a co-producer credit on that. So we scouted mini golf courses around New Jersey because we had to be close to campus for the shoot. That's where we were going to be staying, and Nick and Haley were going to be in a hotel close by for the shoot. So we went between January and mid-April when we locked our location. I had a location scout who was also in my grad program, one of the producing students, who was originally my first AD, and then he ended up just being our location scout due to a scheduling conflict for one of the days on set. But this guy Bob, love Bob, he lives in New Jersey, and he would check out and send pictures and videos of mini golf courses. And eventually we found this place, the Golf Zone in Flanders, New Jersey, which is about 35 minutes from campus, which was an easy drive at 8:30 in the morning, get into set. And thankfully this course was at this complex where they have a driving range and they have an indoor area with pool tables and golf simulator, which Haley was really, really good on the golf simulator. And Nick, if I remember correctly, you kicked ass at pool. So we had fun
Yeah,
during a
yeah,
rain
you
delay on
do
set.
remember correctly. You do remember correctly.
Hey, we had to do something to fill the time during the 2-hour rain delay we had on the second day.
Oof.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
included in this complex was 2 mini golf courses, and we were able to negotiate with the course manager, the complex manager, to close one of the courses for 2 days so that he could still stay open for those 2 days because, a Thursday and Friday in June, right when school's letting out, I wouldn't say it was crazy busy when we were shooting, but they will, people will come play mini golf on those days. And so we were fortunate enough to work out a deal where one of the courses would be exclusively ours for 10 hours a day for 2 days.
Good stuff, George.
Gotcha. What inspired you to choose a golf course? I mean, that's the center of your whole piece, essentially. So,
Why? Because the title's Putt-Putt, Ben?
was it Caddyshack or something else?
Um, I'm not going to say anything about Caddyshack because I want you to watch Putt-Putt and note the similarities and differences yourself.
Specifically that scene in Happy Gilmore at the end where he makes it off of like the light tower or whatever it is.
Just because there's one reference to Happy Gilmore in the film doesn't mean that it's based on Happy Gilmore.
It's a short film that takes up a lot of time. I'm just saying.
Prequel.
I don't know. I always have thought, and maybe it was just, from 15 years ago, 20 years ago, watching, kids and teens TV shows, a date at a mini golf course. It's something that is simple and yet can also be a ton of fun. I love playing mini golf. I enjoy how sort of simple and yet competitive it can be. And I felt like with these two characters to put them in a situation like that where, you know, it's sweet, it's, you know, it's somewhere where they could sort of take it easy, but also have that competitive edge. And these two characters are always teasing each other, you know, messing with each other, trying to one up the other. And I feel like a mini golf course where you got 18 holes to outdo your opponent or you lose. You know, it set the stakes just at the right level where it didn't have to be the focus of the film, but as a backdrop for this particular story, and then sort of the button of the film, not just of any one scene or any one take. Um, it, it gave us a really fun opportunity to play with props and play with sort of the idea of mini golf as sort of a core tenet of this relationship.
Yeah, I gotta double check. You all keep saying button of the film or something like that. Just in for the layman, what is a button in a film? In a film, what does that refer to?
It's just sort of that, you know, what's a good way to describe it? It's like the moment that sort of not really a punchline, but like a shoe drop
Hmm.
sort
Ties
of
it all together. Yeah, just kind of like
yeah,
wraps up the bit or the
Hmm.
moment.
a button closes a shirt or a jacket, you know.
Hmm.
Haley, you summed it up. It ties it all together.
Okay.
So
I didn't
George,
realize I would
when
have.
can we expect a trailer or a little teaser or
Oh,
something from you?
I got to tell RJ about the trailer that we need. So that's fun, a fun conversation I have to have with my editor tomorrow morning.
You heard it here
Because we do need a trailer that will go on the Fairleigh Dickinson University Masters in Film Program website. So the trailer will be fun. Maybe I'll cut that myself. Probably won't have to pay extra for that. Talking to myself.
But what if you get the editor of these videos to do it?
Yes, our very well-paid editor who shall remain nameless.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're gonna have a trailer probably within the next month, I'd say. And I would guess we still have to get the original score composed based on the fine cut. But I would guess the film will drop on this YouTube channel, if not elsewhere. Um, I don't know. We're gonna run some festivals with it first, and then you'll see it.
Cool.
But a trailer, I can promise a trailer in the next month to 6 weeks, 2 months tops.
All right.
Well,
We'll hold you to
Nick
that.
and Haley, we don't want to take up too much of your time, but one final question, I think we'll do it. If you had a dream role with your director of choice, it can't be George.
Hmm.
Because that would be obvious.
What would it, yeah, what would it be?
Oh man. Haley, let me know if anything strikes you. That's
I
a
mean,
good question.
in general, when people ask me about like dream roles or that kind of thing, I never have a specific answer because clearly the role hasn't been written yet, but I feel like I'll know it and I'll sense it. But it's a nebulous thing, but I would really love to be in like a Greta Gerwig film. I would love for her to direct me.
How did I know you were gonna say that?
So
Yeah, I think I would lean more into the comedic film side of me, and I've been watching a lot of What We Do in the Shadows, so probably like Taika would be obviously a very cool individual to work with.
Yeah, nice.
Sweet.
Well, Nick, Haley, thank you both for coming to chat with us tonight. This was a great episode. I think we all had a lot of fun. It was great to meet you all. Best of luck at the festivals that George mentioned. We'll be on the lookout. He'll be updating us, and we'll keep an eye out on our own. But congratulations on a project that is almost done. And we look forward to seeing the final one. But that's going to do it for us tonight at the Unqualified Film Bros. the four of us regulars will see you next week. And I don't actually remember what we're doing. I think it's self-reliance.
I'll pull up the schedule. I think it's Self-Reliance because that drops
Yeah.
this week
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
Hulu.
we're seeing a movie. We're going to talk about it. The
we do.
usual. Yeah, we'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.